Are you not the babysitter?
No, I'm not the babysitter. My friend.
You want burgers, hot dogs, some chicken, and ribs. Yeah! 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 Night of the Horror.
So, do you ever feel like you just want to be like a murder victim in a horror movie?
Every day of my life.
Or do you ever feel like you want to be the murderer in a horror movie?
Every day of my life. Dude, that sounded like you had a soundboard with me on it.
Every day of my life.
You could probably totally do a soundboard with me. Like, you could just be talking about random stuff and just hit a button. People would believe it's still me.
Yeah.
Like, just a... and then just start talking
You do
again.
not laugh like that.
I don't laugh like that.
No.
It's more like a Dom DeLuise laugh is what I get. Like a
Right? No.
No, I can't fake laugh. That's the problem. I'm not a good actor. But anyway.
Good thing you're a director.
Good thing I'm a director. Welcome to Night of the Horror File.
Hello.
Hi. A horror movie.
I was telling them hi.
I don't
Not
know why I said
you.
hi to you. A horror movie and genre film podcast where I take a horror movie and show it to my beautiful wife, Brittany, who then gives us her input. Sometimes she enjoys these things and sometimes she doesn't. So if you're just joining us this week, you might want to go back and check out last week's episode because this is like a double feature this week. Because what did we watch?
Oh, you said double feature, and then I got Rocky Horror in my head, and I almost said Rocky Horror. Science fiction.
Double feature.
Hey,
Oh,
we
wow.
have an episode where
We do. We did
sing.
cover. Yeah, it's awful. It's as awful as you think
Yeah.
it's going to be. But
Anyway, The House of the Devil.
The House of the Devil from 2009.
What is it? What is it?
So
What
yes,
is it?
it's a Ty West Devil feature. I'm glad to be doing this. I really wanted to like keep talking about Ty West. I thought it'd be great to go back in time to House of the Devil. My I think X is now my favorite movie of his, but like I really think this is like second, and then The Innkeepers and then so on,
Yeah. Those are some movies that
Those
you
are
made.
some movies I listed. But anyway, no. So the Satanic Panic is what we're going to be discussing today. Oh, goody.
Oh, yes.
No way could something like that happen again where most of us believe in demons are real and out to get you. That couldn't happen ever again, right? Like never
Nope.
again.
Nope.
Nope. No way. Anyway. So I love talking Ty West last week, so I figured why stop? Let's do one more. And that's 2009's The House of the Devil. Not to be confused with The House of the Devil from 1896 by George Méliès, considered by historians to probably be one of the first horror films. I think most of it's lost. I think you can only find clips and stuff. Now, unlike that tangent I just went on, today's film takes us back to the 80s. And unlike X from last week, this movie's toned way down. And it's very minimal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I chose like one of his most out there movies. Well, not out there, he also did Cabin Fever 2, and he also did a few other movies and stuff that are not quite toned down, but like this,
Right.
I think this is his most toned down movie. And usually, and that's why I picked it, because Brittany is not a big fan of slow burns.
Yeah.
Which is typically what you'd throw at this. I don't have another word besides minimal, but like a lot of people like to call them slow burns, and she's typically not a fan of these things. Go back and see our Thing episode, which we will do. We're going to do an update on the Thing. We're not going to do a whole episode again. That's silly. That's
Right.
kind of silly. But we will do maybe like a little bonus episode during a week, one of these weeks where Brittany has watched the Thing and we'll discuss it. But anyway, Brittany's not excited about this.
I mean, I'm willing to give it another shot.
I understand.
I mean, if I can't give my ex-husband 17 chances, I can give a movie another chance.
Oh, Lord.
I just had to
17 chances.
I just had to make a joke, okay? I'm sorry.
You poor thing. But anyway, unlike X, Also, unlike X, this was actually shot on 16 millimeter.
Oh.
Instead of him having to do the digital effects and stuff like that. And it keeps, there's a lot of techniques and styles from the 80s decade. Like I said last week, he does these things without becoming gimmicky. It's great. Or just pure nostalgia porn. One of these days, we'll watch a new movie that's supposed to be an 80s movie. And you'll see what I'm talking about. Have we watched that?
This one?
No. Not so much this. There's a specific type of movie I'm talking about where they try to do what he's doing here. And it just feels like, good. Yeah, it's nostalgia porn is all it is.
Oh.
But and most of the people who like it are people who were never born in the 80s.
Oh.
Which would be my age range, but I've explained my family. My family showed me every decade known to me. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
The things that make this the 80s the most is really the style of music and clothing.
Right.
And the feathered hair. You got a lot of feathered hair going on. But for the most part, you have a nice, realistic view into the decade. Basically, there isn't any neon lights or talk about pop culture going on. Nobody's talking about, stuff that's happening in the 80s. Fucking, did you check out Mech's Headroom or something? I hate that. I appreciate it a lot with this movie, though. Shot in Connecticut over a period of 18 days. The cinematography also is what filmmakers of the decade would use. You got these zoom ins instead of dolly zooms. What I didn't touch on last week is that these films are less of a homage to the decade and more of a true period piece.
Right.
Just with a bit more style, that's, I think that's what separates something like this from an homage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is just a movie that takes place in the 80s.
Right. And it doesn't need to be more than that.
Yeah, and Ty West wanted it this way because the point of the story and the time frame was to depict a cultural phenomenon, the Satanic Panic, which is, yes, very much coming back to life, and it frightens me. See, he wanted to make sure he got stuff right, so you didn't feel like it was just pure tongue-in-cheek parody on this stuff, and the mass hysteria of fear of the devil being real. Ooh. Because while this movie does play with fantastical horror elements, it definitely feels like this shit could happen. Like, it feels grounded in a way, Without further ado, let's dive into The House of the Devil from 2009.
So, based on a true story during the 1980s, 70% of Americans believe the existence of satanic cults. And of those 70%, 62% believe that Leigh is a leader and that he should burn to death.
Damn, you're going to burn me at the stake of this one.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Do you know much about the Satanic Panic?
They panicked because people liked black clothing.
You know what? Basically. So the Satanic Panic was basically a period of time from the 1980s into the late 90s and early 2000s for the most part. Mm-hmm. Lasted a long time. My generation caught the tail end of it, luckily. But like I said, it's kind of rearing its ugly head back up because hysteria and people start fearing the devil every so often.
Because people like black clothing.
Yeah, because it's not just that music's the devil or something like that. No, it's literally like people in fear for their lives that Satan worshiping is going on and that it's corrupting our children and the gay frogs and the drag queens who read children's stories. It's all Satan worship.
Yep.
It's dark-sided. It's dark-sided. But there has been a lot said about the McMartin preschool trial, which I think is a lot of people are familiar with. The two biggest things to come out of the Satanic Panic that were like real life horrors was the McMartin preschool trial and also the West Memphis 3.
Okay, yeah.
Do you know about the West Memphis 3, right?
Yes, you've told me about it a little bit.
I feel like I don't have to go into that one too much for our audience. Damien Eccles, he's one of my heroes. I love that guy. But, the McMartin preschool trial was that, a lot of people like to point to that as the start of the Satanic Panic, which I guess it kind of could be, which we all, like I said, we thought ended in the 90s. But but that trial was, of course, it was like a group of children who were supposedly targets of satanic abuse at the McMartin preschool operated by the McMartin family in the 1980s. Now, the family was brought up on charges of hundreds of acts of sexual abuse relating to Satanism. Yeah, like the most bizarre. I'm not going to go too deep into it because we could do like a whole series of podcast episodes about this thing.
Right.
But no, the most bizarre accusations, like fucking sacrifices, bestiality, fucking, sexual abuse and shit like that. Now, in 1983, it kind of got kicked off by Judy Johnson, mother of one of the preschoolers. Now, she reported to the police that her son had been sodomized by her estranged husband and McMartin teacher Ray Buckey. Yeah, like I said, it was disgusting and stuff. And it started with Johnson, but then basically snowballed after that. You know, kids were subjected to questioning, which involved leading questions and lots of what I think I've discussed this on the show before, but this shit pisses me off. The long debunked bullshit of recovered memories. You know, there was a lot of that, you know. Yeah. Oh, I put him under hypnotism and we recovered a memory. Michelle Remembers was a big textbook that fucking courts would use to try to prosecute people for Satanism.
Oh, wow.
Basically, this psychologist took a girl and put her under hypnotism and pulled out recovered memories of how she was like sodomized and raped by Satan worshipers and all sorts of shit, you know. Now, and no one ever once thought, oh, maybe these kids are lying for attention, you know, because I mean, you go back and look at what they were doing. They were giving these kids like ice cream and shit, like, you know.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was a fucking modern day witch hunt, you know. And so like when people say, oh, this shit can't happen, you know, they're not gonna find trans people and kill them and shit like that. This shit happens. Right. You know, it's a very real fear that you should probably take seriously. Now, like I said, it all was debunked and stuff. I won't go into everything here, you know, but it got the ball rolling on hysteria. And Johnson would actually later be hospitalized for acute paranoid schizophrenia.
Wow.
And in 1986, she died in her home from complications from chronic alcoholism. So, you know, the person who kind of kicked it off was not exactly.
Not right in the head.
No. And most of the time, you know, you look at these cases and it's like, oh, this was not fucking Satan worship. This was mental illness. Like,
oh, that happens a lot.
Yeah, that happens a lot. You know, in the Satanic Panic kind of, I mean, we talk about it in the 80s. I think that was when it's at its fervor, you know, from the 80s to the late 90s and stuff. But really, this shit was getting kicked off in the 1970s. You know, Dungeons and Dragons was coming about and shit like that. And
oh, yeah.
The Satanic Panic to most of us was bullshit, but for a lot of people living it, it was fucking hell, you know, because I talk about this thing like it's all they debunked it and stuff like that. But these people were like having their lives upended and driven out of communities and stuff because of these accusations. You know, the West Memphis 3, Damien Eccles sat in death row for fucking ever. You know, he was almost executed for this. All because he was just an asswipe little teenager who loved Dungeons and Dragons and fucking witchcraft. Oh, that was it. He just liked magic.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Mm-mm. What the hell?
Now, I wonder if some of our listeners, if they can relate to this, but I know in the South, that shit was heavy. You know, I don't know if you were did your parents ever freak out or anything like that or tell you about witches and fucking Satanisms? Man, my mom was, she believed all into it. Luckily, my dad did not. But anyway.
I don't know that my parents fucked with shit like that.
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't. Like, I mean, I guess if I was like, I could see if I was like really into it and I was like, I'm going to practice witchcraft, or they'd be like, let's not do that.
I know it was so scary that, you know, because the West Memphis 3 was still a pretty big story when I was little. It happened in 93, I think. So, like, it was still kind of a big deal, big in the headlines and stuff. So, like, my mom was kind of believing in it, but also, like, My dad was luckily there to kind of balance everything because he didn't believe in any of that bullshit.
Right.
He'd be like, no, that's all bullshit. That's not going to happen. You're fine. but he did warn me, you know, that was one of his warnings because we lived in the South and we lived in a Christian neighborhood and stuff like that, was that you don't tell people what you're into.
Right.
You know, like you hide that
safe.
shit. Yeah. Don't go around school telling people that you love this and that and stuff because you get in trouble.
Right. Which is sad that you have to live like that. I mean, it's sad how people still have to live because they think, because the Christians think that, I guess.
It's of the devil. It's dark sided.
Right. Like gay people. And,
yeah, it's fucking ridiculous.
Like so I said the thing about the cult.
Yeah, which we get like these fucking statistics and shit like that, and this is based on a true story,
right?
Which I love that. You gotta love that based on a true story nonsense,
just to try to scare people.
Yeah, I was thinking like maybe I should like slap that on all my movies just to see what happens.
Oh my god,
based on a true story.
That's a weird story, bro.
Yeah, right? Phallic tentacles. Anyway,
so Samantha is looking to rent an apartment, and she meets with the landlord, and they agree that Samantha can pay only first month's rent and not a deposit because she's helping her out or whatever.
Sweet ass fucking deal, man.
Yeah,
sweet fucking deal.
Samantha then finds a flyer for a babysitting gig and calls the number from a payphone at her dormitory.
Mm-hmm.
And she leaves a message. When she goes to walk away, someone calls that number back, and he wants to meet her right then, like in this common area of the dorms.
Mm-hmm. Now, what's great is like immediately, like Ty West starts you off with a feeling of unease.
Oh, yeah.
Because you immediately, something's wrong here. He called back right away and stuff like that. And what a better way to introduce us to the decade for like her to be able to afford a house on her own.
Oh my God. Did you see what that deposit was?
How much?
$300.
300 fucking. Oh, yeah. We're in the 80s.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't need to do anything else, Ty West. You've convinced me we're in the 80s.
And she got this without having a job.
Yeah. And what I love about this opening is we do get that, like, which is it's set to the song Moving in Stereo or whatever by the Cars, and fucking like you get those old school titles and stuff where it freezes and the title comes on and then you get several freeze frames and stuff. I love that old school stuff.
Oh yeah. But
we have a short role here by Dee Wallace, you know, from Cujo and a bunch of other horror movies that Brittany hadn't seen.
Right.
And later, Mary Woronov shows up from Eating Raoul and Rock and Roll High School, a bunch of other movies Brittany hasn't seen. But yeah, you get queens of 80s cult cinema here. So we got Jocelin Donahue here as Samantha, which she does a fucking fantastic job for this movie.
Oh, yeah.
And when you figure out that this movie, for a large chunk, basically, is just one person in a house, that's hard to pull off. You got to have somebody really good to do this because, you know, like I wouldn't attempt this with like some actors starting out and stuff. You know, you wouldn't do this because that requires the actor that you're doing. That's a lot of work because they got to carry this whole fucking movie on their shoulders.
Right.
And luckily Donahue does a fantastic job. Now, she was the only cast member that Ty auditioned. I believe Mary Woronov, he had to beg her to be in the movie. You know, he had to keep calling her and bugging her until she was in there. And Tom Noonan, you know, I believe he had worked with Ty West on a stage production or something. I might be incorrect on that, but he had worked with him before, so he agreed to do it, which I love Tom Noonan. Have you seen him in anything else? He plays the main character here. I
feel like I've seen him before.
You probably have.
But I don't.
He's so good at like these creepy, weird characters. Even when he's playing a good guy, he's fucking creepy. He's really good.
So Samantha goes to her dorm to grab her things, and then she goes down to wait for that guy, but he never shows up. So then she goes to eat with her friend and tells her about the new house.
Man, this pizza eating scene.
Yeah. She then says that she's stressed about the money to live there because she's got to get a job or whatever. And they talk about the babysitting gig and how weird it is that he stood her up.
Yeah.
And her friend Megan's like, don't fuck around with that. Like, he didn't want you. Like, don't go there. Like, don't call again or whatever. So Samantha ends up going to her dorm, and she's upset about not having a job. And then her roommate tells her that she had a message, and come to find out, it was that man. So she calls him, and he says that he needs a babysitter tonight, and that he will pay her double if she will go out there. She agrees. So she has her friend Megan come and drive her because she doesn't have a car. And Megan doesn't want her to go because it's like in the middle of nowhere. But
it's kind of cool because you start out in like a town, kind of city life going on here, which is when I first saw this movie, I didn't exactly know what was going on. I mean, it's called House of the Devil, so something's going to happen in a house. I know that.
Right. But we don't know what house. We don't know. Yeah.
But I like the shift. You go from the city to the middle of nowhere, what's more scary than having to look after a house and somebody you're never going to see during the night than being in the middle of nowhere in a big ass house you don't know. You know, that's fucking freaky.
Right. And Megan doesn't want her to go. And she's like, I'll stay with you. Like, I'll just stay with you. You don't have to pay me or anything like that. Just let me be with you or whatever. And Samantha's like, oh, it's going to be fine. She's all like optimistic. She's like, oh, it's okay.
Yeah, which Greta Gerwig's character, Megan, is definitely like the doomsayer already,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's a curse.
Well, and that's me too. Like, oh,
this is fucking
sure
scary,
you
man.
Don't need me to like stay.
Like, I know you're about to get a sweet ass deal because it's the 80s and it's a house rental, but
right.
And decades later, no one's going to be able to afford this.
Right. And she even said, Megan even tells her, like, I'll call my dad. Like, he can get us some money or get you some money. It'll be fine until you find an actual job or whatever, not this babysitting job. And she's like, no, I want to do this. Blah, blah. Admirable on her. I mean, she wants to make her own money.
True. I guess I'm the only one who would be fearful of Satanism out in the middle of nowhere.
No, Megan's fearful too. Okay.
That's true.
I don't think she was afraid of Satanism, but
it's Satan.
But they do agree that that Megan will go in with Samantha, and then if everything's okay, then she'll leave and come back and get her after the babysitting gig's over.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, Megan is played by Greta Gerwig, who I've already mentioned. Kind of considered like one of the queens of mumblecore pictures. You know what that is? You probably do without knowing that term. So mumblecore is a style. It usually low budget movies used, like a lot of non-professional actors, and most, if not all, give this like naturalistic dialogue, improvised and stuff like that. You get a lot of that. Yeah, it's not quippy. Right. It's like the complete opposite of what Tarantino was doing.
Right.
Is basically what this stuff is. Basically, the people are talking like a real person. Now, for horror, a great example that I know that a lot of people have seen is Patrick Brice's Creep, starring Mark Duplass. And now the wardrobe in this movie is really fucking accurate. That's what's really cool about this. I said Ty West is like OCD with this kind of shit because like details like fashion when he does these movies are like almost to a T. Although, like, I will say I've never known a movie to use a Walkman so much.
Oh yeah.
But I guess that makes sense. I mean, we wouldn't be without our phones with our wireless earbuds, It's the same basic concept, so I don't think it's too weird.
You didn't have a Walkman?
I had a Walkman. I for the longest time had a fucking a cassette Walkman. I didn't have a CD player for the longest time.
Oh.
Yeah, I was still running off of cassettes in the early 2000s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was way behind in technology, you guys.
No, I had a cassette player and I had a CD.
Did you ever get one of those really fancy cassette players? I had one that was really fancy that had like the equalizer selections, the little sliders and stuff. Man, I was set up.
I don't think so. I stopped using that thing when I was like 7, so I don't remember. I just remember having it, and I had my Backstreet Boys and my NSYNC and my Britney Spears.
And the old school wire headphones she has on, they're like directly from the 80s. You can go buy those now.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can buy those retro. I've never listened to them. I wonder if they sound as tinny as they used to.
I don't know.
I say used to. I was not alive during the 80s, you guys, but like
you were.
I got a little bit.
You were a baby.
This is 87 through 89.
I have, I lived 26 days in the 80s.
Hey, there you go.
I'm an
Yeah, all
80s
right.
baby.
We know the 80s.
No.
We don't. A lot of my shit was hand-me-downs. So I got a lot of spillover from the 80s.
Oh, yeah, because your sisters.
Yeah, I had an old, like, 1970s boombox from my dad for a while. That was, like, one of my radios. Yeah, one of the big metal motherfuckers. But... So that's why, like, I talk like I know this shit is because, a lot of the little things got handed down to me. But like I said, Ty West is a fucking OCD when it comes to fashion. And he used Robin Fitzgerald to do this. And she started getting really frustrated with him during times because he would be like, okay, we got to stop. This is becoming video killed the radio star 80s. I want realistic 80s.
Right.
And so they're going back and forth with this shit, which for a guy who probably was 8 years old at the time that this movie takes place, he gets some stuff right, because what's nice about this movie, like I said, there's no neon lights, there's no pop culture references or anything like that. It kind of captures like the 80s for what it probably was when you look at like actual pictures of the 1980s, what was going on, just kind of drab.
Right.
And kind of this feeling of like the unknown. The 80s were kind of weird like that. That was a decade of like, what's going to happen next? Like the 90s was the affluential times, the richest time of America. But the 80s was kind of that weird little
in between,
between 70s and 90s. It was kind of a weird decade,
especially since they're
well, then you had Reagan too. You add that on top of it. It just fucking throws it all for a whirly. But back on Mumblecore.
Every time you say that, I think of mumble rap.
Oh, mumble rap? Yeah. I'm a fan of the dialogue in those. I like the naturalistic dialogue, but I kind of don't like most of the rest, man. I'm not a big fan of those kind of things. Like the show Girls. Do you know that show? That's considered a mumble show. Okay. That's mumblecore for you at its purest example. And as much as I have a crush on the very problematic Lena Dunham, I can't help myself, you guys. She's hot. I just cannot help it. I know she's crazy and I know I shouldn't like her, but
is she crazy?
She's a little out there with some of her beliefs and stuff. It's a little weird.
Oh.
Yeah.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah. And there's like a mystery of why her dogs keep dying. I don't know what's going on with her.
What, is she fucking her dog?
I don't know. but yeah, I can't. I'm sorry, you guys. But I just can't deal with those shows, though. I hate Girls. I hate that show with a passion.
I used to watch it a long time ago.
Did you? I can't stand it. I don't know what it is about that show I can't stand because it won awards. It was considered a really good show, but I just I got no time for it. And I don't like Adam Driver. I just do not care for Adam Driver. Do I like
Adam Driver as an actor? Only to look at him. He doesn't need to speak.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I mean, he's a good-looking guy, but I think the man's just, it's like bread. It's like watching somebody put some butter on bread. There's just nothing to it,
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I get that. You just have to look at him.
I know a lot of people would disagree with me, but
all you have to do is look at him. He's fine.
There you go.
And only the reason why, though, is because he's got dark hair and he's tall.
True.
Like, he's not even that cute. If you really study him, he's not even that cute.
He should be in, like, a horror movie with Satan. Like, we should do that. We should have that. He'd be a really good horror villain.
Yeah.
He hasn't been doing that, though. Has he been in horror? Yeah, I kind of want to see him killed. Because that's the heart of Mumblecore. You can stand a little bit, but then you kind of just want to see the entire cast get murdered. Like, you just want them all to die. And then I'm like, well, what
Oh, you're terrible.
I am.
So they get to the house, and the girls are introduced to a man named Vincent, the guy that needs a babysitter, whatever.
Yeah, played by Tom Noonan, like I said. Immediately Tom Noonan shows up. Even if you don't know this actor, like, you're like, oh, hell, this is fucking scary. This guy's up to no good.
Right.
Like, it's so funny because I'm like, I don't know if Ty West was trying to televise the ending because I immediately knew something's not right with this guy. Like, I immediately knew he's going to be the one that's probably going to have to, like, they're going to have to kill him at the end or something because it's Tom motherfucking Noonan. Francis Dollarhide himself shows up.
So this man, Vincent, he's very tall. Well, to me, I don't know. kind of older, kind of balding, and he keeps talking about this eclipse that's happening tonight. And then he asked Samantha to go in the other room with him. I don't think he really likes Megan very much. But she follows Vincent and he says that he's only paying one person tonight and that his wife is really on edge of this babysitter thing in the first place. Like, I guess they don't do this very often is what he's saying.
Yeah.
So he tells her that this is actually not babysitting a kid, but it's a like elderly care situation.
See, so not only do you have Tom Noonan showing up, you also have him lying about the situation, so it's just not good, you know. And then Mary Woronov shows up. What the fuck?
Right. But he offers to pay her $300, but she hesitates and she asks for $400 because she's like, I need $400, whatever. And he agrees. So now Megan's freaking out and says that they are weird and they lied to her or lied to Samantha and that they need to leave.
I mean, I'm with Megan on this. She may be very like annoying.
Right.
But like I said, you got Tom Noonan lying and then he's agreeing to pay you $400 for the night. He might as well have, like, when he was sliding the 400 over, just been like, it's okay. You're going to die. I mean,
right.
Thank you for agreeing.
Right. So they argue back and forth or whatever, and Megan just finally agrees she's leaving and she'll come back at 12:30 to pick Samantha up. I kind of agree with this. Babysitting a kid and doing elderly care are way two different things. Like, he tells her, like, she basically doesn't have to do anything. But he doesn't tell her, is she in briefs? Does she need a butt change? Like, what?
Yeah, why do I have to be here? Like, that should be their first question. Then.
Right. Why do I have to be here?
Well, you don't even have to see her. It's going to be like, she's not even here. It's like, okay, so what am I doing here?
Right? Like, what?
He might as well be fucking, like, twirling a mustache, man. He's creeping it up.
Right. But I kind of understand, too, like, some elderly people, they need care, like, because what if she fell and broke a hip?
Well, what's she doing upstairs? That would be also my question. What was she doing up there? Why did you put her down here? Why do you got the stairs?
The house is big enough.
I don't see one of those electric wheelchair things like in Gremlins where that lady flew out the window. I don't see any of that. What are we doing here?
Maybe she's just senile. Maybe she fell down, maybe fall down the stairs.
We're talking about it like it's an actual old lady.
That's true.
It's not.
That's true.
But
anyway, so Megan drives down the road. She stops to smoke a cigarette because she's stressed. I feel you, girl. And she's waiting for the lighter in her car to warm up. Do you remember when people did that?
I do. You know, I actually, goddamn, me and my hand-me-downs. My first car was a 1973 Dodge Dart.
Right.
So I had to do this when I would smoke cigarettes or weed. I'd push it in and wait. Like, I think that was the last time I ever really did that with cigarette lighters. Like, is that a thing in cars anymore? Do they even have cigarette lighters?
So I was thinking about that when I was doing this. I was like, does my car have a cigarette lighter? Yes. My car has a cigarette lighter, but it doesn't have the lighter part. It's got the plug even for it.
Well, yeah, because like now it's just mostly they just use that for electric. Yeah.
I use that for my Bluetooth.
Yeah, totally.
But like, I don't have a pusher thing. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if new cars have that though, because a lot of new cars now, instead of doing that for like a Bluetooth, they have USB cords now. My best friend, she had a car that had a fucking plug.
Oh, I used to have a car like that with the plug-in thing.
Yeah, and I'm like, what is this for? To straighten your hair while you're driving or something? Like, what?
But yeah, this was the 80s.
Charge my vibrator?
So the only time you ever would have needed one of these is just for cigarettes.
Right, right. So she's waiting for that, and then out of nowhere, a man pops up with a lighter, and he offers her the lighter or whatever, and then he asks her if she is the babysitter, and she says no. and he blows her fucking face off.
This comes fucking out of nowhere. And this is AJ Bowen, by the way, who would go on to co-star with Ty West, actually, in You're Next from 2011. And also he's in The Sacrament from 2013, another Ty West movie that's amazing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so honestly, Greta Gerwig plays the complete opposite of herself. Like in real life in this movie, she's usually a soft-spoken person, whereas Megan is this obnoxious person who eats pizza like a crazy person. I don't understand that scene, but just the finger licking. But it was like 3 a.m. when they shot this, and she said that like it was weird as hell being gathered around a monitor and watching her head explode.
Oh, yeah.
But what's fucking awesome about this is you do not expect this much gore.
No.
Early on.
Oh,
like
no,
this
no.
This is gore deployed in a very, very smart way because, you know, like usually like with a super gory movie, it's all throughout. You know, you get gore,
Right.
you get a cold opening with gore, gore galore usually, like with something like this. But like this is where it's like smartly deployed here with this movie is because like you're relaxed.
Right.
You're kind of in a relaxed mode up until this point.
Because it's very slow. It's very slow.
But that's how you build. You know, that's how
I get
you build.
it.
Yeah. I mean, you're creeped. Yeah. I think it's creepy.
Yeah.
As soon as the phone call happens, you know, that's where things get a little uneven and creepy. And Megan's there to tell us that something's fucked up.
Right.
But then just out of fucking nowhere, she gets her fucking head exploded, which is
you don't
wild.
expect that.
It's wild. And he even like gives you some downtime. You know, like the guy gets in the car, steals her cigarette away and shit like that. He even gives you a minute to like recover.
Yeah.
But like still, you know, now the state of unease and the creepiness is now ratcheted up to fear.
Oh, yeah. You're like, oh,
yeah, because now you don't know what the fuck is about to happen.
Obviously something.
Yeah, because that's the one thing you didn't expect in House of the Devil is a dude to shoot some lady in the face.
Right. So true. So Vincent gives Samantha half of her payment up front and basically says to just relax because the old lady will take care of herself.
Mm-hmm.
And he keeps mentioning the number on the fridge for the pizza. He says, order a fucking pizza.
You have to order this pizza.
Right.
You've got to order the pizza.
Right.
The plan doesn't work unless you order pizza.
And you
It's
know,
like,
in
what?
all reality,
Uh-huh.
in the country like that, they don't fucking bring pizza out there.
Dude, when we lived, like, we didn't even live in the country. We lived on the outskirts of a town called Jinx here in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And like fucking the back in the day, like in the 90s and shit, like the pizza guy would barely deliver out there. Like,
Right.
barely. Sometimes we would have to drive into town depending on the pizza location.
Right. My mom lives in a neighborhood, right? But she's kind of country-ish. Like the houses are kind of far apart. Not really, but kind of. Anyway.
There's really not a lot of, well, I mean, in our general area, I'm sure in like Wyoming and stuff like that, there's still a lot of spread out stuff.
Right.
But like, you know, it's funny because Tulsa isn't like that much anymore. Like,
No.
because the outskirts used to be like, dear God, like empty and shit. You'd have a house every so often, but now it's like neighborhood. And you get out to Coweta where your mom is and fucking, it's kind of country, but it's even that is
But it's
being
still a neighborhood.
even that's being developed, so it's kind of
Right.
like you know, I think that's also what the fear of this movie is that unknown of being out in the middle of nowhere, which is kind of not a thing as like it used to be.
Right. But there's a pizza place 6 miles from her house and they still won't deliver there. Like, what? What is happening? They barely deliver her mail.
I mean, that is out in Trump country, so I wouldn't blame them.
It's true. You go about 3 houses.
Oh boy,
and
the
you see a Trump
flags.
flag.
The
Yeah.
flags are out tonight.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So he says that he's going to go upstairs and get his wife. Well, then Samantha hears something. Or no, she hears him say something up there about how there won't be any more mistakes and that this is the perfect person. What's you doing up there, Vincent? And then Vincent's wife, Vivian, she comes up from the basement, even though he said he was upstairs talking to his wife.
Yeah, which Vivian, like I said, played by Marion Woronov. And every time I see her in anything, I automatically think of her character in fucking Rock and Roll High School. Do your parents know your Ramones?
So Samantha and Vivian talk for a minute, and then the couple leave. But basically just tell Samantha to leave the mother alone, order some fucking pizza, and chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Again.
But I don't get to meet the mother. Does
Again,
the
your
mother
red
know
flags
I'm
have to be
here?
going on. Because I'd immediately be like, what is wrong with this old lady? Does she have like a third tit? Or like, what do we,
What?
like, we got like nipples on her forehead? What are we doing? What's wrong with her? Why can't I see her? She ain't got a face, does she? She ain't got a face.
Well, kind of not.
Oh, yeah. Would you find that out? But no, you know, back on Tom Noonan being fucking creepy, his kids have even like shied away from introducing him to their friends because they'd afraid he'd run them off.
Oh my god!
Because he was like, I kind of like, you know, I don't consider myself creepy because Tom Noonan is sweet dude.
Oh yeah,
in real life, and he just
yeah.
seems very kind and very soft spoken kind of gentleman. But he was like, I don't consider myself creepy, but I asked my kids, I'm like, am I creepy? And they're like, yeah, yeah, Dad, you're kind of creepy.
That's awesome. So Samantha then goes to try and call Megan and like to apologize to her or whatever.
She ain't got no face.
But of course she doesn't answer.
She ain't got no face.
By the way,
she
has the most annoying voicemail.
Oh.
She says, hello? Oh, I'm actually not here or whatever.
I fucking can't stand joke voicemails, you guys.
Yeah.
I am not a fan of them. I never was.
I'm here to
That
leave a
happened
message.
lot.
Just fucking stop.
Remember back in the day with the old Nokia phones and the, you know, old school telephones where you could like do that thing where you could buy a fucking voicemail?
Yes, like a ringtone.
I fucking hated those too.
Yes.
Where you'd call someone and it's like fucking Peter Griffin or something picks up. Oh my God, dear God.
Do you remember you could like assign a song to somebody, but not when they're calling you, but when you're calling or when they're calling you or something like that? I can't remember.
I remember I thought I was on top of the world when I could program ringtones into my phone. I had one of those phones. Where if you did the certain buttons, you get certain ringtones. Like I had Stairway to Heaven. I thought I was the coolest motherfucker alive.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like the shittiest version of Stairway to Heaven. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, my phone's ringing.
Right. Yeah, but like it would be like the ringing part. Like I would call you and I'd have like something playing instead of hearing the ringing.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I said, I was not a fan of that.
Mom, can I get this, please? Mom, it's my favorite song, Mom.
It's only 99 cents.
Yes. It was always only 99 cents.
Or if you wanted the real good ones, it was $1.29. Remember those?
Oh,
the premium ringtones.
You can get one of those, but only the 99 cents.
Yeah, only the 99 cent ringtone.
So Megan doesn't answer. So then she calls and orders a pizza. She then goes to look around the house, and it's pretty big. Lots of windows on the top story. And then she turns the TV on and watches some news about the eclipse that's happening tonight. Mm-hmm. Then she puts her headphones on and plays pool, and then she's like dancing around the house, and she ends up knocking over a vase.
Yeah.
And I was like, is that an urn?
Yeah.
I think it was just
and I love the music in this fucking because you got the breakup song earlier and that song, and then this song she's dancing around to, which is the fucking I can't remember the name of it.
I don't remember what song it is.
But anyway, so the 80s,
right?
But no, I love the house. Man, the way he shoots this house and the way he shoots this entire movie, especially when you get into the house, if you notice, he uses a lot of like lower angles, you know, when they're talking and shit. And he, instead of a dolly zoom or something like that, he uses an actual zoom in, you know, on the camera itself, which is something that like was more used in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that for movies. And I don't know. I love it when directors return to that. For some reason, I love the old school zooming and stuff like that. But these lower angles really make this fucking house scary.
Oh, yeah.
And this house, you never quite get a grip of how big it is. Like, you see it on the outside.
You can't tell how big it is.
Yeah, you see it on the outside, and you kind of get it in your mind how big we're dealing with. But even you, like, there was times where you were like, what floor are they on?
Yes.
Like, what the fuck is this? Like, he shoots this really cool. It's like a maze. Larry Fessenden produces here in Glass Eye Picks. That's his company. And they were behind most of West's films. You know, the first ones, I believe X was the start where he went with A24. If I'm correct, I might not be. But now West has said that Larry is probably the most important person he's met in his filmmaking life. And
wow.
you guys know, I'm sure our listeners know who Larry Fessenden is. We'll end up tackling some of his movies later on. But he met Larry when he was 20-something through Kelly Reichert, from Old Joy, Wendy, and Lucy, and Larry had produced her film River of Grass. So Kelly asked Ty one day, hey, have you seen the movie Habit? Which, by the way, if you haven't seen Habit, please go out and watch it, because it's probably one of the best, like, subdued vampire flicks. It's so fucking good. Well, Ty was like, yeah, I've seen it. And Kelly then goes and just introduces him to Larry.
Oh, shit.
It really is about who you know.
Oh, yeah.
In this kind of business. Like, that's what I kind of preach to everybody, is because, like, things didn't really start even slightly happening for me until I started meeting people.
Right.
And getting to know people and getting all this advice and input and stuff. And now things are, like, on a path. So, like, it is a lot of who you know. Mm-hmm. School might help you a little bit, but not really. Like, because even Ty West, he didn't go to, like, NYC or anything like that, film school. He went to, like, a lower film school in New York, which is funny when those guys get fucking more famous than the dudes who went to the big one.
Right.
Yeah, the rich kids is what I like to call that film school. Because it's a lot of money to get into NYC. Yeah, it was Larry who suggested that Ty make a full feature after Ty showed him his short films. And that's how 2006's The Roost got made, which it was a wild film if you guys want to look at it. But Larry gave Ty a bit more money, you know, and he made his first feature. Then Ty would go on to do Trigger Man with him, and of course Cabin Fever 2, which Ty had said it was a shitty situation, and he isn't a fan of the final piece. So Lionsgate let him take over Cabin Fever 2, even though he's not Ty West, or Ty West is not Eli Roth.
Right.
Like, so it's kind of weird to me. But anyway, but they said, you know, you could do whatever you wanted to. And he said it was a situation where they said that, but then he started doing whatever he wanted to. And they were like, no, we don't like that, and stuff like that. And I mean, it's not like they were on bad terms or anything like that. They said they appreciated him working, and he doesn't say anything about that, but he wanted to use Alan Smithy. He wanted to take his name off that whole thing. You know, I don't think we talked about Alan Smithy before. It's a moniker that directors use when they don't want their name associated with the picture.
Oh, yeah.
But the union didn't let him do that because he wasn't, you know, they have certain rules for that. But after that, he returned, and Larry helped him get House of the Devil up and going. And it, like I said, it always seemed weird that Lionsgate would choose Ty West to follow up an Eli Roth movie.
Yeah.
It's really odd to me, because him and Roth are completely different styles and flavors.
Oh, yeah.
You know, they're both auteurs, but like it just doesn't seem like they'd mix.
Right.
Like, so it's a weird direction they went with.
Right, but it doesn't mean they couldn't work together, I guess. But
no, well, they kind of worked together on Tarantino and Rodriguez's Grindhouse. They each did a trailer for that movie. You know,
oh, that's cool.
Eli, I believe Ty West did Thanksgiving, or was it Eli Roth that did Thanksgiving? I don't remember, but I love all those little trailers in between the Grindhouse segments. Right. But you know, back on Cabin Fever 2, I think that's a great movie. I love Cabin Fever 2. It's stupid, but it's gory, and it's just a good time. You know? Right.
So Samantha goes to clean up the glass from the vase that she knocked over, and she opens the closet just to make sure none of the glass went under the closet or whatever. Well, she finds a bag full of pictures. So she ends up finding this picture of this family in front of this Volvo. And it's the same Volvo that they got in to...
Yeah, Vincent and...
Yeah, to leave. And she's a little confused because it's a different family. But who knows?
Yeah, well, this is where she kind of gets little hints and stuff. Yeah. Now, there was more of this in the original cut.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like Ty West said, you know, that they were looking at it and they were like, well, it's going on too long.
Right.
You know, this is too slow. This is too much of a slow burn. But he did have at least 4 extra minutes of her finding little clues here and there throughout the house.
Right. But she ends up going outside. And because she's like, really? Like, is this, was that really their Volvo? Was it really in front of this house? She's just trying to piece it together, whatever. So then we see a man's feet and he puts out a cigarette. Are we supposed to know that this is the guy that shot Megan?
I mean, it's not a mystery because you also see his van, you know, when she walks out there, which I immediately... That's not anybody's van. Like,
right.
Like, wouldn't you call the cops? I don't know.
Who knows?
See, a lot of people who don't care for this movie tend to say nothing happens.
Right.
You know, which I've heard it a lot of times with movies like this. Oh, nothing's happening. But unlike other movies, which I agree, you know, there are some movies that nothing fucking happens until the crescendo at the end. But like this one, I don't agree with because there is so much fucking going on in this movie that isn't just story.
Right.
You know? Like maybe it's not all action packed, but Ty West packs a ton of stuff in here, like the sound in this movie, the sound design. The little sounds and stuff. He does so much awesome sound work like this, like characters taking knives out of the blocks and shit like that. Just
the water running,
dripping, fucking dripping, and like later on, she knows somebody's using the upstairs bathroom because she can hear it through the drain, which is something you wouldn't think, but that happens in real life.
Right.
You know, you can hear it running through the drain, but he uses that as something to unnerve you because, I mean, that's where the fear really lies in this movie. In the middle is, you know, you're in a house, middle of nowhere, and you got the little sounds. You know, the little sounds is what drives you fucking up the wall.
Because it's quiet.
Yeah.
And you've never been there. You don't know these noises. Like,
which is crazy because like, and I think this works so much for it being in the 80s because now we constantly have sound.
Right.
You know, we have sound all the time, you know? And so like what I like to do sometimes when there's no kids here at our house and stuff like that, and you're not here, is I like to turn off everything that makes a sound and just listen. You know, like do that sometime. Do that sometime. It is fucking frightening.
No, thank you.
You know, because we talked about this. I was like, I'm fucked up. I love to get scared. So I do stuff like that to scare myself because it's really fucking creepy because you hear the house settling. You know, you hear that. You might hear like a branch on the outside, you know, going. Or you might be just stuck with your own like body noises. You just get, it freaks you the fuck out because we are not used to that kind of silence.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no, thank you.
It's how, you know, I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but when they create those super silent rooms, you know, they say if you spend too much time in those, you'll go insane.
Right.
Because we are not used to that, just not being around sound the entire time.
No, and like, even in, like solitary confinement in prisons and stuff like that, it's pretty quiet, obviously. Well, I mean, probably at night, but those people still yell and all of that. I'm sure the lights make noise and you're probably hearing that all day and all kinds of like it's. Oh yeah.
I mean, you're right. That's one of the reasons why people have PTSD after coming out of solitary.
Yes, because they come out, but then when they get out of prison, especially if they did solitary time in prison, the sounds of just life overwhelm them.
You know, back on Damien Eccles, that's one of the reasons, if you guys have ever seen a picture of Damien Eccles, he always has sunglasses on. Well, there's a reason for that. It's because he spent so much time in solitary and in prison and didn't get to see outside light that his eyes can't handle the light anymore.
Right.
So he has to constantly wear shades. And so, yeah, like, and that's what's so good about this movie. I would say if you weren't scared about this movie the first time around, watch it, but have headphones. Like, have the headphones, have the movie in your ears, because like I said, he does so much with the soundscape.
Right. And really, this movie could be a silent movie.
It could be. That's what's creepy about it.
Yeah.
Is because there are moments where the sound drops out.
Not silent, but like no dialogue.
Yeah. Well, for a large chunk of it, there isn't any.
Right.
You know?
And you really could get away with no dialogue. Like, once she gets to the house, you could drop the dialogue out completely.
Yeah, and that's also because the music cues, man. The music cues are fucking spot on. Like when he uses that song that she's dancing to, one thing leads to another. When he uses that, it does uplift you a little bit. You're having fun with her,
right?
But then when it drops out,
it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, now you're back in oh shit territory. Now you're like, I'm not in a safe zone anymore. I'm fucking scared.
Right.
And that's what this movie does so fucking perfectly. And also, what I can't stand about movies that are kind of like this, not kind of like this, but like the only thing I have to really compare that's modern is like something like The Conjuring. You have a score blasting throughout that entire movie. And I find that like less frightening when I have a score to accompany the movie that tells me when to be scared or when to excite and stuff. Whereas this movie, sometimes it's just dead silent. And so you don't know what to expect next.
Dun, dun,
dun, dun, dun. And that's how this movie builds fear.
Right. So Samantha goes inside and she tries to call Megan again, and she's dead, so she didn't answer. And she's frustrated.
She ain't got no face.
No. So she's frustrated and she's freaked out. So she grabs a knife and takes it to the bathroom with her. And then she hears footsteps. So she goes to check it out, and she's listening outside this door. And on the other side of it are these dead people on a pentagram on the ground.
This is fucking creepy because, again, you even though you just saw poor Greta Gerwig get her fucking face blown off, you still don't really expect this kind of image in this movie, because he gives you some time between the creepy shit. Well, the more visceral images, he gives you time to breathe and stuff between those, to where when you see this, that your fucking stomach drops. Like you see this family fucking sacrificed in the middle. Yeah.
That. This is what he was talking about. It's going to go right this time. It went wrong last time.
I guess so. Yeah.
What the fuck? I don't know. So Samantha's still looking around, and the doorbell rings. So she opens the door, throws the money at the guy, which is the guy that killed Megan.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't think it's supposed to be a mystery. I don't know if that's what he was going for, but it's him.
Right.
Like, I also kind of recognize his voice on the telephone. I don't know if that was not supposed to be, you know what I mean? Like,
right.
I don't know.
Who knows? So she throws the money at the guy and takes the pizza. Then we see that dude.
And maybe you are supposed to know it's him, but also maybe you're not supposed to know what everyone's getting on to here, because
that's scary.
Speaking of sound, the coffee pot just started making noise and we got scared.
Oh, I thought there was a wolf.
That was fucking frightening, you guys. See, that's what I'm talking about. Growling. That's what I'm talking about. When you're dead silent and then a sound starts, that's where you can get fucking frightened. That's what I love about sound in movies, is you can really use that to your advantage. Instead of putting fucking blasting scores over your shit, you can do that and just let off a noise and scare the shit out of somebody. But anyway, what I was saying was, I wonder if you're supposed to be just in a state of confusion of what he's doing.
Maybe so, yeah.
Maybe he's with those people. Maybe he's not with those people. Maybe he's a separate thing. Maybe he's doing all this. Maybe this is a slasher. Who fucking knows?
Right. So he's walking around the house, like the outside of the house, smoking a cigarette. Well, Samantha calls 911, but hangs up before it connects, she thinks. Well, they call back. And she says there's not an emergency. And the lady's like, don't call here unless there's an emergency. Don't fucking
Have you ever accidentally called 911? No. My phone has. I had before I got my new iPhone, my phone would just randomly call 911. It fucking sucked.
Yes. I think that's why you ultimately got a new phone, because it was calling every day.
Fucking calling 911. So like I got this, like, they'd call back and be like, this is a number for the emergency. You can't be. I was like, it's my phone. I can't help it. I was like, I'm so sorry.
So then she tries to go relax and eat some pizza, but it's gross. And we can see someone watching her from the window, the dude, right? Mm-hmm. So she turns on the TV and there's a horror movie on.
Yeah, because that's what you want to watch after you've been thoroughly scared. It's
right. And she just
Night of the Living Dead.
Is that what was on? And she quickly turns it off and she goes to get a drink. and she hears something in the sink. This is what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah. And plus, that pizza fucking tastes funky.
Yeah. Oh, that's why she went to get a drink, because
immediately when you get this pizza, like she opens it and it looks like the most driest fucking oldest fucking
had
pizza.
That for days.
Yeah, that's been sitting in the van for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. So Samantha goes back upstairs to check things out, and she goes into the bathroom, and she pulls the shower curtain back, and she gets scared, but there's just hair all over the bathroom tub. The bathtub. That's what I was trying to say. Why? I don't know.
You brought up the hair. I never connected that to anything. Was that something? Did somebody shave their hair off? Was somebody losing hair? I don't know.
I don't know either.
What's cool is you never really get a firm grasp on what the Satanists are doing in this movie.
Right.
You never really quite know. It has something to do with the eclipse or this and that. And I kind of enjoy that better than if he just spelled it out for us.
Right.
Like, because you don't need it spelled out. They're doing some Satanist shit.
Right.
Satan's coming. Like, something's happening. Maybe it's the Antichrist, because the ending. Who knows? Like, but I kind of enjoy that mystery because it makes it more scary.
Right. So then she goes up more stairs at the attic, I guess, and she tries to turn on no. Is this the basement? This is where I'm getting confused.
Okay, see, that's what I was talking about. He makes this like a maze because I'm assuming this is like the second or third floor or something. The second floor, I think. And this is an old house. So like you didn't have like the lower down ladders or anything like that, or the attics that just had like a blocking it and you just push that to the side. You had a full staircase that led you up to a finished attic.
Right. Well, she tries to turn on the light, but it knocks the power out in the whole house. And this freaks her out, obviously. They would freak me out too. Then she hears someone walking, and they start to open the door.
Growing up in a household as the youngest of 3 kids, my sisters were already starting their teens by the time I could remember anything, Right. So I kind of felt like an only child, I kind of fell into that only child rut, even though I wasn't. And even though, but like I said earlier, I remember my mom being gravely concerned that there were devil cults roaming the streets. Like, it was not unheard for me to hear, like, before school, oh, be careful, there's Satan worshipers out there looking for boys today. Where she was getting this info, I have no idea. My mom watched a lot of news.
She does.
Yeah, she watches a lot of news and believes everything she hears. But luckily, she has my dad.
She calls me all the time. I saw this on the news. You got to watch out. Oh, she said, there's these amoebas eating the kids' brains when they swim in the lake. And the boys had a cold after swimming in the lake one day. And she was like, you got to make sure it's not those amoebas. Then they're not going to die because none of the kids are surviving from this. And I'm like, huh?
What? I did not hear of these amoebas.
Right? Like,
which is a thing that exists, but I don't think it's as rampant as my mom thinks it is.
She's like,
but that's how
are
she
you sure
is.
They're alive?
That's how, that's how she always has been. Like, she would just like put 2 and 2 together out of nowhere, make these leaps and stuff because it didn't help that when kids would come up missing, probably because of someone's family member or a child molester in the neighborhood, like it would always get blamed on Satanism.
Right.
Like, well, the police aren't sure if it's a cult related. They would always use that. It might be a cult related. And so my mom would all of a sudden make the leap that where the Satanists are now looking for blue-eyed, blonde hair boys, and then you're going to get snatched up after school. So you better stay inside,
Right.
But like I said, luckily my dad is like, your mom just watches the news too much. You're going to be fine. There's no Satan cult's going to get you. Just don't talk to strangers. You'll be fine.
Right.
So you probably would think I'd be terrified at a young age. I gotta admit something, because I was already fucked up by watching horror movies like Hellraiser, because my parents were like, yeah, rent whatever. I think they just let me rent whatever so they could probably go do stuff in the bedroom. But
yep. They fucking.
Yeah. Yeah, watch your Hellraiser. We're gonna go do Hellraiser in the bedroom. But
oh, now you need to ask your dad about that.
Ew, I don't want to ask my dad about that. But
I'll ask your dad about that.
Yeah, I would totally be like, when my mom would tell me that thing, it would stick in my brain the entire day. Like, what are these cults doing when they get me? What are they doing? Are they putting things in people's butts? Like, that was the worst thing you could do back in the 90s.
Right.
But no, I was like, what's happening with the cults? What are they doing with the knives? Are they got knives? They got the robes, you know? Is somebody going to appear with a robe?
Am I going to meet Satan?
I was fucked up. Just like, I wonder what they're doing out there. You think they're having fun?
Can I be a part of your cult, please, sir?
Because that's what sucked, man. That's what sucks about these idiots, like preaching Satan. Satan's going to do this and that. Because, like, the stuff they have to blame on Satanists, besides, like, murders and rapes and shit like that, the stuff they have to blame on Satanists sounds kind of cool. Because they're like, oh, they're having orgies with goats and women and just tons of naked ladies out there in the forest. There in the forest. Well, you know, the goat section is probably roped off. But
we don't want loose goats.
I assume they don't let the goats that people are fucking loose. You know, that's not happening. They got their own room or something. You know, a trailer off to the side.
So when the goat's not fuckable anymore, do you just sacrifice it?
Well, yeah, of course.
Oh, okay.
You know, that's how you do that. But
okay.
God damn. What is
the
happening
male
here?
goats get sacrificed.
What is this show turned into? But no, like, yeah, they're always like, oh, they're having orgies out in the forest and naked ladies of the night and like fucking, they're sacrificing animals. And you're like, this sounds metal as fuck. Like, you're not doing anything to persuade me not to seek out Satanism.
Right. Where did you say these were? Like, what's the geolocation or something?
Where can I find these Satanists so I may avoid going to the Satanists? Like, I don't want to accidentally be in the orgy.
Right. Can you give me, like, how many footsteps do I have to take when I get there?
Because you notice these people always blame everything cool. And they call that satanic because it's like, God damn it. Why is everything cool satanic? You're not helping your case at all.
So all you're saying is you're not cool? You're not down with the sickness? Like, come on.
Right.
Let's do this.
There's a reason I'm queer.
Right. Oh,
you're not doing anything to help.
Just making me more queer.
Yeah. What? I can have sex with everyone now? This is cool.
At the same time.
Satan's an all right dude. Anyway.
So Samantha starts to act funny because she got drugged with the pizza or whatever.
Yeah.
She's trying to get away from this guy coming in the door or whatever, and she ends up falling on the floor. Then we get this weird flash of the moon and a candle and Samantha tied up on the ground.
You know what's cool is
in the middle of the
he uses a strobe effect here, but it's not as
it's not
annoying.
Violent.
Yeah, it's more like scenes missing kind of thing. But like it's real like every once in a while, which I like that better, you know.
Oh yeah. My eyes like that better.
Yeah, because Brittany has epilepsy, so this was a little bit easier on you.
Yeah. So then the cult starts walking into this room where she's tied up on the pentagram. And there's the young dude and some deformed old lady rubbing blood on Samantha's stomach.
Which again, you're not explain who the fuck this is at all.
It's obviously the mom.
Yeah,
or the grandma or
maybe
whatever
it's an older witch. Well, like also, are they doing this to like get youth or something? You know, you never know. You don't know throughout this movie. Like, what are they doing here?
And she's rubbing this blood on Samantha's stomach. Then she places an animal skull thing on her stomach and then cuts her own wrist or palm or something and then writes in blood on Samantha's head because they're going to sacrifice her to the devil or something. I don't fucking know. So
the goat orgy is about to commence.
I guess. I don't know. So then she grabs this witch lady, grabs this skull and makes it pour blood into Samantha's mouth. And she's kind of choking, but she gets her hands free and slaps this witch, gets free, grabs the knife that the witch had cut herself with, stabs Vincent in the stomach, and then she tries to escape. Well, Victor, this is their son, Vincent and Vivian's son, Victor. That is too many V's in my life.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of V's going on.
Yeah. And
is the old lady called Vanessa?
Maybe. Victoria sounds
Victoria,
more of like a witchy name.
There you go, Victoria. Yeah, that's good.
So he grabs her and she gouges his eye out.
Yeah, you get a gouge scene.
I
You get
love
an
that.
eye gouging scene.
I love that. I want to do that to somebody.
Again,
Okay.
just like X, he is giving you like one of each thing here. Like
Yes.
you're getting a little bit of everything.
Oh yeah. So she runs out and she ends up slipping on a bunch of blood. Come to find out, this is Megan.
Yeah, they
Just
just
dead on
brought
the
Megan
floor.
into the floor. I don't know what that was.
And she's bleeding everywhere.
I guess just in case they needed to dispose of the body later, you know.
Right. So they're running through the house. Like Samantha's just running away from Victor. And Victor shoots Samantha in the shoulder. And he's going to shoot her again, but she grabs this knife, stands up real fast, and slashes his throat.
It is a lovely throat slashing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
it looks great.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
like I just love this kind of visceral shit that you don't get much anymore in movies, you know, or if you get it, it's all CG blood and shit like that.
Right. So she runs up these stairs, hides, and Vivian goes to find her. Then we get flashes of this witch lady. I'm calling her mother. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's kind of cool because like you kind of get a grasp on what you don't, like I said, you don't know exactly what they're doing, but you do get a grasp of the relationships here a little bit, you know, even though it's not laid out in front of you or anything like that.
Right.
Like, but like, I do enjoy how he's able to get that across to you because we've seen movies with Satan worship and like witches and cults and shit like that. So you don't have to stop the movie dead to explain what's going on.
Oh, no. And we know that this is their son only because when Vivian sees that he's dead, you can see the look on her face like that's her kid.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like he's Ty West is able to lay that out in front of you without treating you like a dumbass.
Right.
Like that's what I appreciate about his movies. He never treats you like you're stupid.
Well, sometimes I need to be treated stupid,
but not in this movie. You see what I mean about how he's able to do that though?
Right. So Vivian finds Samantha and says that this is going to work in spite of her. And she can't stop it.
Anytime you get to watch Mary Woronov be just a complete asshole, it's great. Like she does a great job at this kind of character. Now, again, he shoots this house in a way that it feels like it's fucking breathing.
Oh,
like this house feels like it's alive at this point of the movie. You know, you also forget when he's chasing her, when Victor's chasing her, you forget there's another stairwell in the kitchen that leads up to the same floor she's at.
Right.
Like, and so you're like, whoa.
What is happening? So Vivian goes over to the window and is praying, I guess, to Satan. I don't know. She's just praying.
I guess you'd pray to the Dark Lord, you know?
I guess so, yeah. Samantha grabs the knife and stabs her in the back. And then she walks downstairs and grabs the gun on her way that Victor had. And she tries to call someone. And then she gets this sharp pain in her head and flashes of mother. They're in her head or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So she runs outside and Vincent still has this knife in his stomach and he follows her. Well, he pulls the knife out and he follows her out to this cemetery that's on this property.
Yeah.
Well, he tells her that she has been chosen and that this is her destiny to accept him. Not him, but like Satan, I guess.
Yeah. You got to accept Satan. You know?
Right.
Oh, and before I forget, speaking about my crush on Lena Dunham, you know, Lena Dunham plays the 911 operator in this movie.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier.
Wow. He tells Samantha to kill him and that he's just a messenger. And then he says that the eclipse is moments away. And Samantha puts the gun up to her head and he's like, no. And she fucking shoots herself.
Yeah, you did again.
What?
Whoa.
What? What?
I guess that's how you'd want to go out, though, you know?
I guess. I mean, I guess she thought she's not going to get away with it. Get out of this. Not away with this. Get out of this. So this is her way out. Can I do that?
Oh, God. You're not facing the Dark Lord Satan's child.
Come on.
You just had a bad day at work. You can't just blow your brains out. I could see if Satan was coming down your cooch, but like not bad day at work.
Anyway, So now we cut to the news broadcast about the eclipse, and then saying that it was moving too fast, and basically it didn't happen.
Yeah, they're like, hey, that fucking eclipse was the Dark Lord Satan.
Right.
It wouldn't have been out of the ordinary for the newscast to break into that. We got Satanist expert here from. They always had a Satanist expert.
Oh, yeah.
An occult expert who you're like, where the fuck did this guy get a degree? Because it's just some dude, and he always wore like a tweed jacket or some bullshit,
Right.
or just a button-up white shirt, looked like he came from fucking selling cars or something. Well, what the Satanists do is they... How do you know?
How do you know what the
How do you know
Satanists
this?
do? So then we're at the hospital, and we see Samantha. She's all bandaged up. Her head's all bandaged. And a nurse comes in to give her some meds for IV or whatever, and says that she's going to be just fine, which is great. I mean, she didn't kill herself. Cool. But she puts her hand on Samantha's stomach and says, both of you are going to be just fine.
Ooh. And so what's kind of creepy about that is like I said, through this movie, it's very grounded. You know, like,
Right.
yeah, the creepy witch demon looking lady in the attic was pretty fucking freaky. But at the same time, you could be like, well, maybe she's deformed. You know, they think they're casting magic spells. But then at the end, this kind of seals the deal for you that shit was real. You know, so it's really kind of ends on a really scary note.
Right.
Now, The House of the Devil had its premiere on April 25th, 2009. Wow, 2009 was so fucking long ago. This movie.
I graduated high school in 2009.
I graduated 2 years before this. Like, Jesus Christ. This movie still feels fresh. It does not age. Like, it ages
Right.
really fucking well now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, yeah.
But it had its premiere at the Tribeca Film Festival in New York, and then would go on to be available through video on demand in October of that year. I didn't actually get to see this until years later. You know, like I had seen Cabin Fever 2 and I'd seen The Roost and a bunch of other Ty West movies, including The Innkeepers. But The House of the Devil kind of always escaped me, like until I finally got to watch it. And luckily, like I said, I watched it with headphones and it blew me the fuck away, scared the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. But this movie was, at the time it came out, no one was really doing this kind of subdued horror, you know, in 2009.
Mhm.
Ty West gave us a movie that shed all the gory and cliches of horror and stuff like that, and brought back the tense fear with buildup and story, and just like I said, just these moments of just complete like gut drop kind of horror, you know. It's
Right.
stuff that doesn't affect a lot of people, and we'll talk about it at the end. But you know, like movies that were coming out around that time were like Human Centipede, remakes like The Stepfather, or the amazingly fun but indeed over the top Sam Raimi film Drag Me to Hell. Nothing was quite like this, though.
Right.
Yeah, and so I kind of credit Ty West for kind of bringing that back to the mainstream, you know, like stuff like I kind of feel like if you didn't get Ty West back in 2009, you probably wouldn't have gotten Hereditary or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, just that subdued, like not too over the top kind of horror. And he really did show that this type of horror can work still, and that you don't have to have nonstop gore or elaborate sets to make people scared. You know, you could just use the sound design and your setting and the lighting and just give people the
Good
creeps.
writing.
Good writing. Yeah. To me, it's right in my fucking wheelhouse. This is my favorite type of horror. Well, not type, but execution. I love how this is executed.
Right.
And the slow build up, the creepy sound design, and the feeling that I just don't know what the fuck's going to happen.
Right.
You know, at any moment. I love all horror, but when you can make me actually feel fear in your horror movie, you've done something good.
Oh, yeah.
Now, but yeah, Ty West seems to know how to get under my skin with his horror. But and he's one of these directors that doesn't quite like being called a horror director, by the way. You know,
Oh, really?
he's in the same wheelhouse as Eli Roth and stuff like that. Which Eli Roth, I don't know why he's ever said that, because he's like, well, I'm a director. I consider myself a director. It's like, dude, come on.
Right.
Look at you. You're Eli Roth.
Oh, I'll look at him.
No, you love Eli Roth. Ty, you might actually like Ty West too. You should look him up.
Look at him.
Look him
My
up. Real
phone
quick.
died.
Oh, your phone died?
Yeah.
But I think you probably would actually. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You would definitely dig Ty West.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's your guy. That's
I didn't
definitely
even see
your
him up. That's you?
It's a mix between me and Eli Roth.
There you go.
But
If you and Eli Roth had a baby.
There's the fucking coffee pot again. It's frightening me. See, it's talking about sound design right here. You guys can't hear that coffee pot. Sorry. But anyway, enough about me. Let's talk about you.
Oh, God.
What did you think about What did you think about 2009's The House of the Devil? And maybe compare and contrast this week's movie to last week's movie, like because you loved last week.
Oh, right.
So I'd like to hear your thoughts on both.
Okay, so at first I'm watching this and I'm like, this is slow. This is slow. But also, I wanted to know what happened. I wanted to know.
Is the payoff?
Tell me what happened.
Is the payoff worth the wait? Because for you, I don't think this stuff kind of scares you like it does me.
Right.
Like this is kind of stuff that scares me. Just that stuff that lulls you into a creepy. I don't know. I have the ability to lose myself in a movie, so it's a lot easier for me to be scared to stuff like this.
I don't know that I was necessarily scared. I was just interested to see what happened. I thought the movie was just fine. It was executed well. It made me want to keep watching it. The kills were cool. Like the gore was cool. And if the movie was too slow, the end was worth it. Okay, I guess I would say it that way.
Okay.
The kills were worth it.
Okay.
And I feel like if those kills wouldn't have happened, the movie would not have been a good movie. Like,
I understand, yeah.
It would have just been too slow.
Yeah, because there are a lot of people who don't give you those, because what he's doing there is giving you like little payoffs, for sitting through and being creeped out. But, if you were just creeped out the entire time and nothing really hit a crescendo and kind of like made you jump a little.
Right.
Like, that's where, because you walk a fine line when you do a movie like this.
Right.
You really do. And so, like, if you do too much of one thing, it kind of loses you.
Right. I think if anything would have been different, I wouldn't have liked this movie.
Okay.
I liked it just fine. Would I watch it again? If it was on the TV, sure. Am I going to put it? Well, okay, that's hard for me to say. I'm not going to put any movie in to fucking watch it again, okay? Let's face it. 10 Things I Hate About You is my favorite movie I've seen a million times, and I barely watch it.
I mean, good movie, though.
So,
that's good movie to have.
But
as
I
a
still
favorite.
barely watch it.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't know. Would I watch it if somebody else was watching it? Yes. Would I recommend it to people? I'm going to start adding that on there. Would I recommend it to people? Probably if I knew that they liked movies like this. Is it something that someone has to absolutely see? It's so good? No.
See, I understand what you're saying there.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is one of those movies where would I say everyone needs to see it? Probably not.
Right.
Like, I'd have to know what kind of horror you
not everyone's
really
gonna
did.
understand it.
Yeah.
Not that I understand
or
it.
dig it. Like, a lot of people aren't going to vibe with this movie. It is one of his movies that, like, a lot of people don't really get into them. Like, well, a lot of people. There are certain people that just don't vibe with this movie very much and stuff like that. And the rewatchability is kind of down on this unless you're like someone like me who just appreciates the sound design and the shoots and the fucking stuff he does in this movie, the way the donuts are made and shit like that.
Right.
I would say, like, it's probably not something you could watch over and over again.
Right. But compared to X, okay, I'm seeing, like, I see this pattern with him. Like, it's a good pattern. Like, I feel like he's gotten better.
And what's great
Not
about
that he was bad.
And what's great about his movies is none of them are the same.
Right.
You don't have the same vibe either way. I mean, he's doing Pearl, which is a prequel to X, and it does not look the same as X, which I appreciate that of him.
Oh,
we talked about that with Tarantino, where I like when a director does something different, wants to do something completely different.
Right. I like the pacing on X better, just because I like a faster paced movie.
Yeah.
But the runtime on this, I think if it would have been even 30 minutes more, I would have been bored.
This has a perfect runtime for what it is,
Yes.
because it is a slow burn and stuff like that. But with that, what is it, an hour 32 minutes?
Yeah.
You have your in and out and stuff like that. So it's the perfect like amount of slow burn before you get there, which I don't even like using the word slow burn in this because like I said, I feel like stuff is constantly happening, whether like to me a slow burn is just a bunch of story and then that, but I feel like there's a lot happening in this movie, but I understand what you mean. Like, and that runtime really does help for someone like you who doesn't really like those kind of movies. Whereas if this movie was like 2.5 hours, I think you would have fucking thrown the towel.
Would have been like, nope.
Yeah, it would have been too much. Some of those movies, they need to tone down the runtime.
And I didn't need more explanation.
I'm even on the camp that says like Hereditary is a little too long, like, it's a little long, man. I don't know if I need to sit that long through something like that. You could tell your story without drawing it out too much, even though people would completely disagree with me, which is fine. Everybody has their own tastes.
Right. But it was perfectly fine.
Yeah. But did you enjoy your introduction to Ty West? I think I know typically when I introduce you to a new director, I choose some of their older stuff first and then we go forward. But I just really I wanted to do X so fucking bad because it was my favorite movie of 2022, I think. I think it's safe to say that has been my favorite. I don't know. The Black Phone. I watched that the other night. That was a damn good fucking movie, you guys. Black Phone is amazing. I really enjoyed that film too. But like those two movies have really been standouts for me in 2022.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's House of the Devil from 2009. That's our Ty West Devil feature. I hope you guys had a good time going back. We'll definitely come back and watch more Ty West movies.
We're gonna have to.
I mean, we'll probably end up doing Pearl when it comes out this year.
Is he gonna act in it?
No, he does act in You're Next. I mean, he gets shot with a crossbow bolt, but I mean, it's pretty good, yeah. But we mentioned Eli Roth several times on this show.
Daddy,
sorry, Brittany's daddy. So we're going to be talking about an Eli Roth movie next week. So what Eli Roth movie are we doing? Are we doing Hostel?
Probably.
Are we doing Hostel Part 2, which I think this is the superior Hostel? Or No, we're doing a movie which I think is unfairly maligned because I had a fun fucking time with it, even though the date I took to it did not. She hated it. Like I was really upset. She hated on that movie the entire time we were there. I'm like, I don't need you to heckle this movie, please.
You're like, this is why I watch movies alone.
It is. It's why first time watches are usually alone. I like to watch these movies by myself. But anyway, so next week we're talking Eli Roth's The Green Inferno. That's right, Eli Roth's take on the cannibal horror movie, which is
nice.
I think this movie is his best shot movie he's ever done. It is beautifully shot. It looks like a Werner Herzog film. It's so fucking good. But anyway, until next time when we find out what's the other pink meat. Was that my computer? Shit, what is all these sounds?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, I mentioned the soundscape and now we're getting scared. But but I'm Lee Evans saying stay spooky.
And I'm Brittany, stay horrific.
And watch out for them Satanists.
Bye-bye.
They're gonna get you. Bye. Thanks for listening. To get a hold of us and submit your stories, fan mail, and death threats, you can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and nightofthehorrorfile.com. Our theme song was written and performed by John Brennan, used with permission. Find John at shopjb.bandcamp.com and at badtechno.com. If you like what you hear, leave a good review wherever you listen to podcasts, and share the show on your social media. See you next week.